Welcome, everyone. We have a light attendance today, so you are absolutely welcome to turn off your mute and join in the conversation. Love video cameras, but not required, because today is actually a round table, so there will be some discussion. So hopefully you can prepare for that. Let me go ahead and share my screen for a quick intro. All right, so ignore the employee onboarding process. This is the MSP tools survey, where we're just going to talk about what tools are out there in the MSP space. So real quick, a little bit about ITDUG. ITDUG stands for the IT Documentations Users Group. I believe most of you probably found this meeting from there. But for those who did not, this is how you find the group, fb.com/groups/ITDUG. You can also at ITDUG anywhere in Facebook, and it'll find it. And it's for anybody who's using an IT documentation platform of any kind. It was originally founded by Tracy Harden. She's been running an MSP in Kentucky since 2001. We are now just over 2 years old. While we originally started out with ITGlue, we now have all platforms because a lot of our challenges are similar, just the words change. I've been a co-admin with her since that time, and we broke 2,000 members this month, so that's exciting. Do please keep inviting to the group, because the more people who join, the more content we can share back and forth and learn more about each other. About me, I've been doing this since 1994. I used to own an MSP myself. I call myself a recovering MSP owner. Sold that, ran some others with some success, and I now do EOS implementation, and I founded Eureka Process, who sponsors these events. Eureka Process is a IT business consultant, or perhaps better said, the business of IT consulting. We do processes. We also work inside the tools that MSPs work in. That was loud. Give me 1 second to check on an emergency here. I will be right back. All right, so we live and breathe in IT tools all the time, and I thought it'd be really cool to use today's meeting to learn more about the other types of tools that are out there in our industry. So this is now open roundtable. I'm actually going to stop showing my screen, and I'm going to try to take notes on all of the ideas and topics that you guys have regarding these. So first of all, for our people in attendance today, are you able to communicate via chat or audio, or are you willing to chime in? I'd love just to hear a confirmation from you. All right, everybody's here. Great. I do recommend, if possible, unless you have fire alarms going off like I did, that you guys just go ahead and unmute and talk. I'm going to pick one category. Let's just talk about what tools exist, quick pros and cons. I think I'm going for quantity more than quality today, just on how much stuff is there. So the first would be, of course, IT documentation tools, right? I've already mentioned ITGlue. What are some other thoughts that you guys have on what are other IT documentation tools you've heard of? And what do you know about them?
Hey, Alan, this is Lee. How are you?
Hey, Lee, good to hear from you again.
Yeah, so we are a smaller MSP in the East Coast, and we use ITGlue as our primary.
Mm-hmm.
We typically use it more like an octopus, right? ITGlue is good for a lot of things, but there are little items that it doesn't do well, like creation of the documents you put in it, right? So that's not an easy process. A lot of screenshotting and typing and whatnot. We actually used StepShot, which unfortunately was sold to UiPath, and they have another program that replaced that. But we use that. We also use Guru for linking knowledge base articles. So we link those two programs together. It's not something that is super high up in the MSP market. It's more just a general help desk market. Mm-hmm. It's used by larger organizations to keep their SOPs and everything at quick access inside the browser itself. So it's like an overlay plugin that allows you to access that. And again, we link that back to our IT glue.
Interesting. I think you might have mentioned Stepshot to me in years past, but I had not heard of the Guru piece.
Yeah, so Guru is a browser plugin. It lets you actually get metrics on what your employees are searching. So you get dashboards and reports on what the technicians are looking for, the most commonly used articles. It also does, scheduled verification of those articles to make sure that things are staying up to date. Because as you know, you put documentation in and it's not valid forever.
Yeah. Interesting.
Pull up our sheet here real quick.
All right, and I'm going to list, while you're pulling that up, I was going to list some others I'd heard of. Just curious if either of you guys know of them or have used them. IT Boost, Passportal, the infamous OneNote.
We do not use OneNote. We do use Evernote, but that's mainly for the web page snipping tool. Again, easily to convert those simplified documents into documentation as opposed to, again, more screenshots and things like that. But that's our main use for Evernote. You kind of throw everything into it, but you pull out and create documents out of that material.
And does Snagit fall in the same category then? Because that's where I'm grabbing my screenshots from.
It could, but we don't particularly use that.
Hey guys, you mentioned several tools, IT Glue obviously, and also very small over here. And you mentioned I've used OneNote before, but I think it's mainly IT Glue, and sometimes you have some documents that are external, just in a share that augment IT Glue. But I have heard of Passportal and OneNote and Evernote and those tools as well, obviously.
Great. Any we're forgetting about? I'm sure the answer is yes, but there are so many tools these days. Oh, Confluence. Have you guys heard of that one? Lee's posting into our chat all sorts of stuff. LionGuard, and I only know a little bit about LionGuard. It seems to be doing, most people are using it to fill in details in their IT glue or PSA appropriately.
Correct. So Confluence is more like an IT glue. Passportal is trying to be more like IT glue. I think both of those companies did themselves a disservice by not just working together, to be honest. One is better at passwords, the other is better at documentation. I mean, I'm sure they both could get to the same place, but sometimes reinventing the wheel is not the solution to the problem.
When you have that much money behind you, you're tempted.
Fair enough.
Process Street also reminds me of
that's more document creation. So you create processes in it, and it's more of a drag and drop interface, so you can get your checklists, this step requires email, and it can be baked into that in a reusable template form.
And I had heard of a similar tool with a similar name, but I don't think it was called Process Street in years past, like Process Master and I didn't like it because it was almost designed to work within it instead of your PSA.
Yeah, Process Street is also not in your PSA, but it can send outputs in different formats that can go back to your PSA.
What is Cognito?
So Cognito is just for embedded forms. So if you need to have people fill out information and then have that become a PDF or an XML file to go back into your documentation system, you can have it go that way or go into your ticket system as well. So information requests, things like that, things for your technicians to fill in, etc.
Okay, and Lucid Charts I heard of is kind of like a browser-based Visio. It's actually pretty full featured.
Correct. It also supports the embedded documentation with IT Glue. So you can actually embed the document. And then as you're working on that diagram, if you have shared that to a customer or another technician, they can see those changes live. Like that embedded screen is truly live. As you drag and drop things around, it is moving on the screen for the user viewing the document.
And quick note, I tried embedding Lucid Charts into Passportal and it was not supported. But you can put the link there at least.
That's unfortunate.
Warranty Master is similar to LionGuard in that it is used to update other systems such as PSAs, RMM tools, and documentation platforms such as IT Glue. And it updates warranty and other information that can be retrieved automatically via serial number, correct?
That's correct.
It also lets you sell extended warranty, I think is one of their benefits.
Nice. So it could also be freestanding in that way.
Correct. Yeah, they generate prefabbed PDFs that you can supply to your customer.
Nice. Yeah, I had actually wondered if we're able to cover all these things in one meeting. We're still on documentation tools. All right. Any other documentation tools that pop in your head? IT Boost, now owned by ConnectWise. They were, my complaint about IT Boost is they were trying to be all things to all people, even more so than Passportal and IT Glue are. They're kind of like two things to all people, or trying to be. And they should be one. IT Boost was doing dashboards and ticketing and alerts and documentation. So hopefully ConnectWise will pick some of the best parts of that and get them into other products before long. We'll see. Others?
Cloud Radio is a good tool as well for that.
It covers so much more.
It does, but it also integrates to IT Glue, so you can publish your IT Glue documents in it and embed other items that are included in the list that I provided as well into it. We're actually just onboarding with them now.
I have one other client using Cloud Radio, and it's there's a lot to it. He's using it very much for the sales side, especially for selling existing clients.
Yeah, their planner feature is really good for that, and also ensuring completion, right? So as you onboard new customers or you have older customers and you want to ensure that everybody has the same products and services, because some renewals, sometimes you'll buy a multi-year renewal, because unfortunately we still don't live in an era where everything is month to month, and you can change products when you deem something is no longer providing the appropriate amount of value. And once you have to wait for that renewal, if you don't have somebody closely keeping an eye on that, especially in smaller companies, those changes don't always get made. So it's a good way for you to track those changes as well as your customer.
Very cool. Any other IT documentation tools we can think of?
That's all I can think of.
All right, I'm sure we're missing about 1,000, but we'll go on to some other categories. This one should be another fun one. What about PSAs? Does anybody still remember what PSA stands for? Professional Services Automation, also akin to a ticketing system. So we use ConnectWise Manage, and we also have clients using Datto Autotask. What are you guys using?
Autotask.
Autotask? Good stuff.
Mainly.
Yeah.
Excello.
Excello. How do you spell that? I haven't heard of that one. Oh, there you go.
I put it in the chat.
Tell us a little bit about Excello.
Excello is an excellent project, and it's a pretty good ticketing system. It's not the best, obviously. Their lack of integrations can be a little frustrating, but the time tracking is really where they shine, and ensuring that all communications are shared. And we find that that has more value in our business as we add employees, even subcontractors, is having that visibility, and the workflow works for our team. So
Very cool. What are some others you guys might have evaluated or know of?
I've used Goldmine, Everest,
Heat.
going way back in the day.
Heat, H-E-A-T?
Isn't it Heat? I think so.
Okay. Synchro MSP, I've heard some folks talking about. Have any of you guys heard of Ninja RMM? I'm curious if it's also a ticketing system.
It is not.
It is not. Continuum, I think, covers that. They're also owned by ConnectWise now.
They did not do ticketing.
They
had
sure did.
They have ticketing for their not. They're
okay.
not providing ticketing. Like, they're not providing you creating tickets except for their technicians to work. At least when I was with them a few years ago.
Yeah, I used them briefly in 2012. And that was right after I sold my business. So there was a lot going on. I can't remember. Well, hopefully with this great start, maybe with the video recording, we can get some other people to weigh in afterwards. We can keep this list updated for everybody. Things to think of. All right, so let's move on to RMM platform, starting with what we're using. RMM stands for Remote Monitoring and what does RMM stand for? Holy cow.
Remote Monitoring and Management.
Remote Monitoring and Management. Because I often hear it referred to as Remote Monitoring and Remediation. That would be RMR.
Yeah.
Which also means recurring monthly revenue. So we already mentioned Continuum and Ninja RMM probably fall into those categories better. What are you guys using for RMM?
We are in Central currently.
In Central, they're still around. That's good to know.
They are. SolarWinds owns them.
ConnectWise Automate, Datto RMM. Ido, are you on Datto RMM as well?
No, but was it Continuum, and like you mentioned Ninja already?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I know there's 1,000 more missing there as well. Is Kaseya still a thing, right?
They have a bunch of tools. Yeah. They keep on buying companies.
Kaseya was the first RMM I ever used back in 2008. I'm getting old, which I guess beats dying. All right. What are some other categories of tools then? Whoa, what did you post here, Lee? So SolarWinds has their own RMM platform as well?
They have two. So they have N-Central, and then they have the SolarWinds RMM, which used to be something, trying to remember the vendor that was. Viper owned it, I think, at one point. It was bought like 5 different times. I'll have to try to look up which company that originated with, but it went through like 3 different purchases and then finally landed with SolarWinds.
Got it. And Atera, I know I've seen some others as well, but all right, this is a good list. Are there other categories of tools? There are. What are they? Those are the 3 biggest that every client has. What would you call a tool like Nalir that's kind of a bolt-on product to ConnectWise manage, or BrightGauge for dashboards? How about KPI tools? Key performance indicator tools / dashboards. Are you guys using anything like that?
I play with BrightGauge a little bit, but Not really.
I love BrightGauge. Not that they don't have their faults, but I have a lot of clients with it, and I love designing pretty gauges that tell us exactly what we need and only what we need to act on. IT Boost does a bit of that. I wonder if I would put MSP CFO in the same categories. Have you heard of those guys?
Nope.
I have not.
Less gaugey, more reporting, but very finance-based. Lots of the pre-builts that our industry cares about, like things like agreement profitability by tech or tech share of profit, and the more complicated stuff that I would have to build by hand. MSP CFO tends to have it's a little pricey, but it does have good stuff in it. Then again, these days BrightGauge is getting pretty pricey. I would throw IT Boost back into the dashboard category, so I know that's a feature they had. I hate to list Autotask there, but they have their dashboards built in, which can be powerful for the few people who actually will use them.
Well, but Audit IT or IT Audit or whatever, that they kind of do dashboard with as part of the process, the kind of a process. I don't know. Do you call them a dashboard company?
Is that all Vic or Audit IT?
Audit, is it Audit IT? IT Audit? I don't know.
I'm Googling it right now. By SolarWinds?
No. Let me see.
Website evaluation? Yeah, look that up for us. Let us know, because I'd be curious to. Kind of the whole point of today is to share tools the rest of us haven't heard about. I would love digging into the little guys that aren't super popular yet. I used ConnectSmart. Are they still around?
I have not. One of the newer ones, though, is Lifecycle Insights.
Would you call that a dashboard, though? I guess we're kind of lumping reporting in there, aren't we?
I mean, BrightGauge is also lumped into reporting as well, though.
True. So I'm just going to add to the same category name reporting, in which case Lifecycle Insights is an amazing tool for doing your quarterly or strategic business reviews. They pull all the data that you would need in to do those. So it's a great view of the data. They might even have some features in there that replace parts of Warranty Master. So Lifecycle, ConnectSmart was very similar to BrightGauge when I discovered them at the time, again, years ago. ConnectSmart did dashboards, BrightGauge did reports. Therefore, BrightGauge decided to get into dashboards, and I think was fairly successful at taking over a good bit of that market. I just noticed my video camera froze. I actually have an RMA out in this camera. I'm quite disappointed that I bought this high-end webcam and it's not that good. Thanks for joining, Lee. Lee had to drop off just in time for Lionel to join us. Any other ideas on, let's say, reporting or dashboard tools, Ido?
I think I found the one. It's more like a sales presentation, I think, than anything else, but it's.
How's it spelled? Maybe you can chat it to us. Audit for IT.
They create
Sales
kind of
presentation system. Interesting. I even know one of the guys on the testimonials.
There you go. You can ask them how it works.
Well, what I'll do is I'll write it down for everybody else so they can find it. And I'll just put a little note in here. It's a sales presentation system, which is kind of similar to Lifecycle Insights. It's kind of like a sales presentation system for existing clients. I show Lionel still attempting to connect to audio here. other reporting tools. There's also, it's not a tool for sale, but SSRS, just that built-in SQL reporting. I've used to use that for reports before BrightGauge got as good as it is in MSP CFO, where I could query the database. In my case, it was ConnectWise Managed years ago, premise-based. You could get some decent reports out of there. Text and numbers, you can get anything out of there. Graphics where it lacked more in. Are there other categories of, I'm sorry, my original question that spawned this was, are there other add-on tools for Autotask, Ido, just customizing this to you that you use and we can find a category for it?
No, I think you mentioned like Orvik that integrates with the other two for monitoring. I think, you know, for payments, there's a couple of ones. If you want to track payments and billing, but usually there's also integrate into QuickBooks.
Give me a bunch of ideas right there. So let's talk finances real quick for a second, then we'll come back to payments. So finance, there's QuickBooks. Are you using QuickBooks?
I am, and you can, you know, you either have the desktop or the online, but yeah.
Which one are you using?
I've used both. I'm right now using desktop, but you know.
And I'm curious, what caused you to go to desktop instead of online?
I've been using desktop for a while, so I've played with online, and I've used online for something else. And I think whenever I have to migrate mine, it'll be migrating online.
Interesting.
You don't get all the features, but it's, I don't know, quick. It's a pain either way, I think.
I'm getting there. I was online when I first started, and then I moved to desktop because my ConnectWise managed integrations were free with the desktop, and if I went online, I would have to pay extra for a tool such as Mobius Connect to connect those. Xero is also a finance tool I've seen several people use, and less popular and Xero's with an X, and less popular in our industry, but still a popular tool overall is one called Wave, which I think is actually now owned by H&R Block, but it's a business and personal finance management tool. So you mentioned payments. What are you using any tools to help manage payments?
I've looked at a couple, but I've not really. Isn't it ConnectWise as a tool, right? Is it Connect Boost or something like that?
Well, Connect Boosters is not related to ConnectWise at all. It's just very popular in those circles.
No, Connect Boost, sorry.
Yeah, so Connect Booster, I just got that finished integrated myself. It's been really good so far. Mobius Connect syncs ConnectWise invoices to QuickBooks Online, and they might be working with some other tools soon as well. Wise Sync does the same thing. Similar things to Mobius Connect. What are some other payment tools? I mean, PayPal, it can be done, and there are some features there. I think it's a little expensive, but easy to set up.
Well, to do this online payment, you can use like the Intuit or other directly as well.
True. Where would this Orvik tool go? Does it belong under RMMs, or is it like a discovery tool? Is that a whole category in its own?
It's almost similar to Warranty Master, where it extends. So I don't know if you want to call it documentation or put it more with the RMM, but I think it's an extension of.
I'm going to move Orvik to documentation tools.
LionGuard is similar. LionGuard is just not as much discovery. for management, but it's more documentation. But
Mm-hmm. Where would you put? Oh, these tools! There's so many of them. They've been around forever. You install the data collector on a server, and it scours AD and the computers, and it gives you a full report. You download it and you parse it, and it gives you a presentation to give to your clients. Great onboarding tool.
you talk about rapid fire.
Yes, rapid fire. That's probably a documentation tool as well, right?
It is. And you can sometimes pull some stuff in, although in general, it creates its own documentation.
Yeah, and they have network discovery. They have a HIPAA module and an Exchange module.
Yeah, SQL, Exchange, and now they got one for online Office 365 too. They also have some network monitoring. So.
Right. Perhaps it belongs under RMMs, but there's also a suite of tools for network state detection. One that I used to use was called Monetis, and literally you could do all sorts of stuff with it. What I used it for, it was as a third party that would do a ping test, and I would always test our gateway and then test our firewall, and then it would create tickets when there was a failure there and resolve tickets when it was successful. Do you use any such tool?
I can do a ping test through my RMM, I believe.
Yep, many do. Like even the ConnectWise Automate has that feature. People didn't always trust it because they wanted to have a third party out there so it could come from the outside in versus wherever yours might be hosted at.
So no, I've not used Monotest or.
Okay. So Nalir is and desk director. I'm just throwing some things out there. Nalir's for ConnectWise only. It kind of replaces the technician interface to make things less clicks, less choices, so they can just go bam, 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 and get their tickets done and recorded in real time. Which also reminds me of Desk Director, which, among many other things, can rewrite client portals for many ticketing systems with a whole set of rules and forms and such. I don't know where these tools go. Everything has to have a box.
I don't know if you put them as extensions then, or
extensions. We'll give it a box.
Or tools. Yeah.
All right. Any other tools you're using we didn't mention today or find a category for?
And no, nothing major that I can think of for this second.
I was hoping today would be a popular topic with lots of input, but I guess, or maybe it's also the fact that we're competing with IT Nation right now.
Yeah. I tried to join it yesterday. It wasn't exciting.
It wasn't exciting. I was wondering. I stopped going to those in person even. Just that I'm usually looking for business owners, and there's more technicians than business owners at this event. So I prioritized the November event. All right. Well, Ido, thanks so much for joining and sticking it out. Was there anything else you would like recorded or you'd like to see in future presentations? I tried something different this time. I don't know how successful it was. I'll get this content out there for everybody, though.
No, I think it's great to have that and, get some feedback from people on how they're using it or what they're using. You can talk about something like an ID agent that give you the dark web can tie in because they tie in into Autotask and, backup software can tie in, there's a bunch of software that can tie in into.
Backup software is a whole nother list, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think the ID, it's almost more documentation. It's just dark web reports, right?
Right. I'll get them on the list.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for all of your feedback. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these notes in the recording, get them up on the group, and let people continue to suggest in the group what other things to add to the list, other categories, and see if we can build something for everybody.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much.